Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Tom.
Hey, it's our TOEIC unit, so we're going to be focusing on some words and phrases that you might see on a TOEIC exam in your future. We're going to be talking on the subject of Christmas, how to celebrate Christmas, especially Christmas parties that you might have in your company. They can always be kind of interesting. Sometimes they're boring, let's be honest.
Right, and we're talking about this because in just a couple of days it is going to be Christmas, and some people do celebrate Christmas. It's not traditional to celebrate Christmas here in Taiwan. Oh, you do see people in coffee shops and restaurants wearing those silly Santa Claus hats, and you might hear Christmas music playing in department stores or whatever. But for the most part, it's business as usual here in Taiwan during the Christmas season. But if this happens to be a company in a Western country, then indeed they may have a way to celebrate Christmas in the office. They'll probably celebrate Christmas in school as well, although most kids get out for Christmas a couple of days before Christmas, and then they stay out of school until after New Year. We used to get maybe about 10 days off. But yes, indeed, we're at the office today. It's a new way to celebrate Christmas. And we've got a conversation going on between Charles and Sarah, and they're trying to figure out a good way to celebrate Christmas in the office. So let's not delay any further. Let's listen to their conversation, and we'll be right back to discuss it. What's on the agenda for Christmas? Shall we celebrate the festivities with an annual company lunch like we usually do?
Honestly, many employees are starting to dread that dull lunch. Perhaps we can do something more entertaining this year.
That's a fabulous idea. I recently watched a video about an activity called Ugly Christmas Sweater Day. In essence, everyone pledges to wear their worst Christmas sweater, and the person who wears the ugliest one wins a prize.
That probably won't be a good idea, as we are constantly holding key client meetings in the office.
You're right. It could come off as unprofessional. We could arrange a gift exchange and potentially play some games instead.
Let's try a white elephant gift exchange. It's a fantastic idea. A white elephant exchange is similar to Secret Santa, except people have the option of stealing gifts from other participants.
That's a genius idea. Please send me the rules in an email so I can share them with everyone.
Sure thing. We should set a dollar limit to the game, though, so it doesn't become too pricey.
I agree. A maximum cost of 500 NT dollars should be sufficient.
Terrific. We can set a date and reserve the conference room to hold the exchange. Charles, after I send you the rules, please include them in an invitation for the whole department. Once we know how many people plan to come, we can buy snacks and drinks.
All right, the moment you've been waiting for is here. We're going to discuss the contents of today's lesson. It's our TOEIC unit for the month of December. Christmas is coming up in just a couple of days. So that's why we're talking about Christmas, and that's why we're listening in to a conversation at the office between Charles and Sarah. And they've probably gotten kind of bored of the old ways to celebrate Christmas, so now they're coming up with a new way to celebrate Christmas, something that's interesting and people won't be bored and they won't complain about it. So here's Charles's question. What's on the agenda for Christmas? Shall we celebrate the festivities with an annual company lunch like we usually do? So usually in the office, a list of things to do in a meeting is called the agenda. And so here he's talking about the ideas that they're going to have for a Christmas party, how they're going to celebrate it, and what activities are planned from top to bottom.
Right. A lot of companies that are a little bit bigger actually have party committees or party teams. So it sounds like Charles and Sarah are on the party committee. So what's on the agenda for Christmas? And Charles wants to know if they're going to celebrate the festivities with an annual company lunch like they usually do. That's their normal plan of action. Festivities refers to just the celebration of something. Christmas festivities, Halloween festivities, just kind of a fun time where you're just in a good mood, probably eating some fun food, decorations are up and about. So they're going to be celebrating something at Christmas. Are they going to do their annual company lunch? I guess that's their normal celebration for Christmas, an annual company lunch. That sounds boring, guys. Annual just means something that comes along once a year that you do once a year.
Right, so maybe once a year during this time of year, they all get together and go to a restaurant and have a big meal together. That's their company lunch. I've been to those before. They're hit or miss. Sometimes they're fun. Sometimes they're just really boring. You have to go. And if you don't go, you'll get in trouble. So that's what Charles suggests. That would be the easy thing to do. Let's just have our usual annual company lunch, and then we don't have to really plan much. And Sarah says, well, honestly, to be honest with you, many employees are starting to dread that dull lunch. So some of the workers at this company have probably been there for many years, and every year they have that annual lunch, and it's getting boring and boring, more and more boring every year. So they start to dread that dull lunch. Dull means boring here, by the way. And if you dread something, that means you're really afraid of it. And, of course, you don't want that to happen to you. This happens usually when you're thinking about something in the future that you have to do, like, oh, gee, I'm really dreading that meeting I'm going to have with a client. They're really unreasonable, and they always make unreasonable demands. I'm really dreading that meeting.
I dread going to the dentist. That's my one appointment I don't look forward to. So you might be dreading that dull lunch. Perhaps we can do something more entertaining. If something's entertaining, it provides a lot of amusement for people. They enjoy themselves. You can actually say a person is very entertaining. I have a brother who's really entertaining. A sister, too. They're just funny. So everybody likes to hang around them. But if you're talking about the thing that's actually amusing you, that's called entertainment, which is the noun form. So Charles has a good idea. He says, I recently watched a video about an activity called Ugly Christmas Sweater Day. I've done this activity at work before. And in essence, or this is kind of what it's about, everyone pledges or promises to wear their worst Christmas sweater to work. And the person who wears the ugliest one, of course, they vote on it. That person wins a prize. I don't know why, but Christmas sweaters are really, really tacky, not very classy, kind of ugly.
Yeah, I don't know how this would work because most people don't have a lot of Christmas sweaters in their collection.
It's not cold enough here.
But the one you do have in your collection is probably ugly to begin with because it's probably going to be silly. It's got pictures of reindeer on there or a Christmas tree or Santa Claus. So all you have to do is wear that one sweater to the party, and you might win the contest if indeed you're wearing the ugliest Christmas sweater. But like I said, I've never participated in such an activity, and I think the last Christmas sweater I had was maybe 20 or 30 years ago.
It's usually your mom or your grandma or an aunt who gives you these ugly sweaters, but I still have one of mine that I got when I was a kid. My mom gave it to me, and I keep it just because it makes me laugh. It's so awful. Well, that's one possibility, right? That's Charles's idea. Sarah says that probably won't be a good idea. Why? Well, they are constantly holding these key client meetings in the office. And sometimes we can't just, relax and let our hair down around our clients because, it makes us look unprofessional. So that's what she says. Maybe it's not quite right for the office. And Charles agrees it could come off or appear as unprofessional. Come off as something just means that's what it appears and looks like to other people. He says we could arrange a gift exchange and potentially play some games instead. Potentially here just means possibly, maybe that's something we can do.
Some Christmas games, pin the tail on the reindeer or bingo or something like that. Those are maybe some games they could play. And, of course, they could also arrange a gift exchange, whereas employees give each other gifts. I don't suppose you have to give a gift to everybody. You could do the Secret Santa thing where you draw a name out of a box or something, and then that's the person you're supposed to buy a present for.
It's fun, yeah.
I've done that before in the dorm I used to live in. And I think I did that at the office I used to work at many years ago. But yeah, that's an idea, and that might be quite simple. People just need to buy one present for somebody, and they have maybe a big party where everybody opens the presents and everybody has a good time and has a lot to eat and snacks and Christmas cookies and eggnog and whatever.
Well, Sarah has another idea. She says, let's try a white elephant gift exchange. It's a fantastic idea. I was telling Tom, my family plays this every year at Christmas. It's very fun if you have a big group, so an office party would be a good place. Everyone brings a gift that's not very valuable. Usually you set the limit at like 500 NT dollars or less. And I think we set our price at $5 US.
Okay.
And the little kids participate as well. You could bring a good gift or something that's really kind of bad, nobody wants. A white elephant means something that people are going to throw away, right? So you can either wrap them or not wrap them. We wrap them. And then everyone picks a number, and it determines the order you go in. So number 1, he or she gets to pick from anybody. He either can pick from a person, or if someone's gone ahead of them and they've unwrapped the gift that they selected, if he would prefer that one, he can get that. So it's best to go last in this game because you get to choose from everyone's gift. So it's kind of fun because you'll see adults trying to steal these great gifts from the little kids who happen to get a good one. You have to be careful. The little ones will cry sometimes, so be nice to the babies.
Okay, well, it sounds like they need to draw numbers or else everybody wants to be the last one.
No, you have to draw to know what order you're going to go in.
So if you're lucky, you might be the last person.
Yeah.
And that's what the White Elephant Exchange is. It's similar to Secret Santa, as I explained before, but again, people have the option or the choice of stealing gifts from other participants, and that's what makes it fun.
It's fun.
And Charles says, well, that's a genius idea. It's not only a good idea, but it's a genius idea. Genius often is a noun, and it describes a really smart person. Oh, you're a genius. You could think of that idea so quickly, while I could only come up with a really terrible idea, and it took me several days. You're a genius.
Yeah, and you could also, guys, just say, that's genius. That's genius. Or here we're saying it's a genius idea. They're both correct. That's genius. Oh, that's a genius idea. So Charles says, please send me the rules in an email so I can share them with everyone. Yeah, it's really important if you're going to play a game that everyone understands first how it works. It's much more fun if, someone's not trying to cheat or just doesn't understand how it's played. So, yeah, they've got a couple of really interesting ideas here.
Indeed. So, yeah, people do need to understand the rules of White Elephant, the White Elephant gift exchange.
Yeah.
I certainly would need to know the rules because I've never played that before. And yes, you do need to buy a gift ahead of time.
Or just pick something up from home. Actually, White Elephant means it doesn't have to be new. So if you had something at home that you never use, I think someone once brought some sort of mixing spoon or something, and I thought, what a crappy gift. But it was funny because someone got stuck with that. Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, you could bring an old bag of dirty socks or some marbles you used to play with when you were a kid.
You could, yeah.
Whatever. Or you can go to the store and buy something. I guess the rules allow for a lot of things there.
Yeah.
And, then the next line here is from Sarah, and she says, sure thing, I will do that. I will send the rules in an email to you, and then Charles will share the rules with everybody and let them know that's what they're going to do. and that's how they're going to celebrate Christmas. And Sarah says, we should set a dollar limit to the game, though, so it doesn't become too pricey. And you talked about that before, setting a limit of US $5 for your game with your family.
Yeah.
But we're in Taiwan here, so they're going to have to, of course, use the local currency. And if something's pricey, that means it's expensive.
Yeah, if there's a restaurant that you've been wanting to try, you might say to a friend, I really want to go there. They just opened, but I have to warn you, they're a bit pricey. It's a pricey place. So it just means it's expensive. Charles says, I agree, a maximum cost at 500 NT should be sufficient. So you don't want to bring anything that costs 600 NT or more. So you want to stop at 500. That's quite a high maximum cost. So if we're charging, or if we're playing with $5 US, it's about 150 NT dollars. I think it's more fun if you put a lower maximum on the games, because then people are forced to really be creative to bring a gift that's really good or really bad. Really bad gifts are funny too.
Okay, so that's their idea, and Sarah says, terrific. That does sound like a good maximum cost, 500 NT dollars. And she says, we can set a date and reserve the conference room to hold the exchange. So yes, they need to set a date for this celebration. Everybody has to be free so that they can attend. So they need to tell everybody when to come to this white elephant gift exchange party. And, of course, they need to reserve a conference room as well. And then she says to Charles, after I send you the rules, please include them in an invitation for the whole department. So, yes, I'm going to send you the rules so that you know about them. And then she wants him to send them out to every member of the department, and he'll include it with the invitation. So, yes, if you're having a party, it's customary to send out invitations. Oftentimes, you need to mail them or put them in an envelope. It just seems nicer that way. But nowadays, most invitations are done online.
Right, and they might ask you to RSVP in advance, which means you have to tell them before the party whether you plan to come or not, because they have to have enough snacks and drinks for people there. So it's really polite to also RSVP, reserve in advance. So sounds like they have some ideas for their party. It should be better than their annual company lunch, at least. I really hope they have a good time. Right now, guys, we're going to take a quick break, listen to our Chinese teacher, but then we'll come back and look at some useful expressions, and we have a discussion question. Stay tuned.
Hello everyone, 我是派老师，今天讲解的是12月20 Unit 10 A New Way to Celebrate Christmas。 今天这一课是多益单元，第一天课程呈现的是关于圣诞节庆祝 party 的对话，更精准来说是关于交换礼物 gift exchange。 应该从对话当中，我相信同学呢可以多去揣摩学习人物之间他们彼此之间是如何的对答，去接别人的话怎么去做反应，这样子同学有机会跟其他使用英语的人做交流的时候，你才知道说怎么样接话比较自然。有一些字虽然看起来很简单，但是会让我们的英文口语其实听起来更加灵活，更加自然。好 ，without further ado， 我们一起看看今日课程内容的学习重点。首先看到我们的男士 Charles 所说的，他说 What's on the agenda for Christmas？ 好，请同学特别注意 What's on the agenda， 请画起来。Agenda 原本呢是会议议程的意思，会议当中要讨论的事项。那在这里我们知道说 Agenda 其实还有一个意思是什么？就是代办工作的计划，或者呢问题的解决方案。那比方说，我们可以讲 The president-elect vowed to put jobs at the top of his agenda. The president-elect vowed to put jobs at the top of his agenda. 什么意思？就是新当选的总统，他誓言要把就业问题当作施政重点。这里 his agenda， 那当然就是总统他的施政的要点，他的计划咯。好，所以我们看到 Charles 说的 What's on the agenda for Christmas， 就是要问别人说，那圣诞节要干嘛？ 原来这样子的讲法其实是非常道地的英文，同学可以多揣摩。再来，我们看后面 Sarah 她所做的回应哦，她就讲到说，好 ，Many employees are starting to dread that dull lunch。原来呢 ，Sarah 说，很多同事其实不喜欢吃圣诞节午餐，因为觉得非常的无聊。那无聊到他们会觉得很害怕 dread。要请同学注意的是，有别于 afraid。afraid 是形容词，前面要有 be 动词 ，dread 则是动词，他们很害怕后面的东西。好，那也请同学把相关的形容词写上，就是 dreadful。dread 后面加上 ful。好，再来，请同学看到 Charles， 他就说了什么呢？他就说，其实你刚刚的这个提议，还不错 ，That's a fabulous idea。好，然后呢，他就说他其实有看过一个影片，是别人庆祝圣诞节的方式有点另类，叫做 Ugly Christmas Sweater Day。那这一天这样子的庆祝活动到底是在做什么呢 ？In essence， 那基本上 everyone pledges to wear their worst Christmas sweater。所以 pledges to 其实就是约定好，每个人都约定好要做什么事，把最丑的那一件圣诞节毛衣要穿出来。那最丑的那个人怎么样呢？就赢了 ，win a prize。那他就会赢得呢大家约定好的这个奖品。那再来，请同学看到 Sarah 她怎么回应？请同学要注意哦。其实我们讲话最好还是要保持礼貌。客客气气的，你看 Sarah 讲话就非常的得体。她说 That probably won't be a good idea。这个 probably 听起来呢比较不会冒犯到别人。That probably won't be a good idea。那她后面还会解释，不是单纯否决别人的提案而已。As we are constantly holding key client meetings in the office， 因为他就说，因为我们常常呢有客户会来嘛，让客户看到我们穿这个样子，所以不太合适。那 Charles 呢，他并没有恼羞成怒哦，他意识到说，对，没错 ，it could come off as unprofessional。come off as 就是会给人什么印象的意思。好，那再来，请同学看到 Sarah 她自己也想了一个提案。Let's try a white elephant gift exchange。原来他想要交换礼物，不过这里有点特别，是他前面加了 a white elephant gift exchange。那他说什么呢？原来这就是交换礼物，不过有一点点不一样，请同学看到后面的 ，except people have the option of stealing gifts from other participants。差异点就在这里 ，except 就是差异点。那我们来看 Charles 真的很有风度哦，他不但没有因为自己的提案被否决，他还会去称赞别人，因为他听到 Sarah 的提案非常好。那怎么回应呢？怎么称赞别人呢？ That's a genius idea。这实在是太棒的想法了，太聪明了。好，那后面Sarah 听完以后呢，就做了回应了，因为这个 Charles 其实是希望他能够把相关的游戏规则寄发 email 给大家。Sarah 呢很乐意，他就说 Sure thing， 好，我会做，没问题 ，Sure thing。然后后来他们还说到，其实他们应该要针对交换礼物的礼物有一些预算限制 ，set a dollar limit to the game。好，以上就是我们针对多益课程第一天对话内容所做的中文讲解，谢谢大家。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, remember in our conversation, we were talking about a meeting between Charles and Sarah, and they're talking about ideas. So when you want to express your ideas or your view or opinions, there are certain ways to do that. And, of course, when you express an opinion, you want to be polite. You don't want to tell the other person, no, you're dead wrong. That's a stupid idea. How could you think that? You want to be softer and more polite. So, in the conversation, she did say, honestly, that was a nice thing to say there. I don't really like that idea of the annual company lunch. Honestly, people are dreading that lunch, to tell you the truth.
Right. So she does kind of soften her rejections of his ideas. Sometimes she does say that one of the ideas, it probably won't be a good idea, instead of saying, yeah, that's stupid, that's dumb. I've worked with people, though, that have responded that way. That's stupid. Wow. Who asked you for your opinion? That's ridiculous. So be careful with that at work. In my opinion, the cake we have at the monthly birthday parties is dry and tasteless. Which just means the cake sucks that we usually have. So, yeah, just be careful who you're talking to and how you say things. That's always important. I think sometimes we forget that our families are sensitive too. We need to be polite with our family members as well.
And here's another thing you can say. It seems to me that everyone prefers cash bonuses to personalized gifts. And yes, indeed, that's your opinion. Well, it seems to me, I think this is the case. So again, you're expressing your opinion there in a polite way. I like cash too, by the way.
Yeah, I think Charles is very positive. His responses to Sarah are very nice. Like, that's a fabulous idea. That's a genius idea. You're right. So you kind of want to pattern yourself after that guy if you're going to look for someone to follow. Now, number 3 says, if you ask me. So maybe no one has asked you. So you want to get your opinion into the conversation. You should say, well, if you ask me, and we'll say it that quickly. If you ask me, you have to get used to listening to Americans squish our words together because that's how we talk. If you ask me, but we are saying, if you ask me, we should arrange a company trip. Oh, I'd like that. That costs a lot more money, though. I'm not sure that's in the budget, but it would be fun to have a company trip as opposed to a year-end party versus a year-end party, which is what people usually do, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So that depends on the person. Some people like those company trips and others would rather just have the party and be done with it.
I want to go on a company trip.
Depends on where they're going, of course.
I want to go out of the country.
Especially if it's overseas, indeed. Now, here's our discussion question for today. What do you usually do each year to celebrate Christmas?
Well, I'm afraid I don't celebrate much in Taiwan. Tom and I have laughed about the fact that we work a lot of Christmas mornings or afternoons. But when I'm home, we have a big party on Christmas Eve. That's our big party with the family. And Santa, comes to the house and is dressed up. The kids don't know who it is. It's kind of fun. Hands out packages that usually my mom had wrapped in advance to give out to everyone. And we have a nice meal. Christmas Day, families tend to stay in their homes. And then I would get in the car with my mom and dad and go and visit everybody to see what Santa brought to their homes. What about you, Tom?
We celebrated pretty much the same way as I did when I was a kid, except it's a much lower scale, a smaller scale.
Right.
We just have a tree, an artificial tree, and we buy each other presents. And then on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, we open them all up. And I try to make sure that some Christmas music is playing in the background to get the right effect. Yeah. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Thanks for joining us. But please join us again next time when we continue talking about this very party that they're going to have, this white elephant party. So let's listen to the details next time. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.